All right, let's start with hockey. Then we'll get into MLB.
Sure.
In hockey, as often is the case, tight lines, but definitely things that are interesting to me. First of all, obviously Toronto, New Jersey. We know actually there were a bunch of commenters in the before you came on who were saying like look for Toronto to be a good bet and also look for overs when they started the season, and that obviously has been the case. Super high scoring team. The Devils are also scoring pretty nicely so far this year as well. So I'm looking at this one. I did bet the over at 6, even though it's a high total. And looking at the odds here, Toronto, a great team, but should New Jersey really be in the plus 170s as a dog? I'm not seeing that, Jim. What do you think?
You know, it's funny. Even old Babcock called this a trap game.
Right.
Will there be a letdown after the Blackhawks game? We'll see. They are two undefeated teams. You are right about the offense. Leafs have scored 19 goals in 3 games, but have allowed 10. The Devils have scored 10 goals in 2 games and have only allowed 3, and they look very good. The Devils were last in the Met last year, but have a young, exciting team with a lot of new faces. I had never heard of Jesper Bratt before the season started, the Swedish 2016 6th-rounder, had 3 goals and 2 assists in 2 games. Now, the big issue with the Devils tonight is that Kyle Palmieri, who did practice, is questionable, and Drew Stafford looks like he won't be playing. And this is a very young team. They need those veterans badly. The goaltending is very strong. Both sides, Frederik Andersen and Corey Schneider, are going to be starting. I am afraid of this game. We talk about how I've been burnt by big favorites.
Yeah.
I'm going to leave this game alone.
Okay.
I'm not going to take the Leafs as the big favorite, and I'm concerned that the goals must stop at some point.
At some point, you would think they would. But again, it's just like you also would figure that just the way these teams have played, at some point, each of these teams are going to get to 3, whether it's the first period, the second period, or the third period, Jim the Bag. And it seems like, I really want to take the over. My gut leans. I track my leans as well in NHL, as you can see here on my little thing. I have Loshak, and then I have Loshak leans, and you can see how my leans have done way up. A bunch of them were close, but my gut feelings have been pretty accurate so far. I will take the over. I'll take it. I'll throw it on there. It's you're getting a pretty decent line. It's just 6. The Greek has plus 100. So I mean, when you look at how Toronto has scored, just 6 plus 100. I think that's worth a shot. I will add that one on there. New Jersey, Toronto over 6 plus 100. That's going to be an official pick. All right, now let's move on. Let's see what else is interesting here. Well, obviously Boston, Colorado, the rematch. They played already in their last game, and Colorado very impressively went into Boston and got a win. It seems like Colorado, has some youth, has some speed here. That is kind of impressive. What do you think? You think they're another home dog? You think value again? What do you think?
I think value again. My man Robinson Yepes on our forum loves the value here. I think we need to tread carefully with this Avalanche team.
Yes.
Last year, they started out 3-1 and then lost 59 of their next 78 games. I went over the 2 rosters this morning, and man, this Bruins roster without Backes or Bergeron is extremely weak.
Yes.
They called up Danton Heinen and signed Ryan White. I mean, I don't know. These are AHL guys. I don't know if they're going to be able to make a difference. I'm shocked that they're still home dog.
I mean, I guess it's just that, the market, we see this in all sports, the market cannot make radical adjustments like that based on a tiny sample size, even if arguably they should. It's just not what they do because long-term over a big sample size, they know that's a bad move. But, I'd be leaning Colorado here as a home dog and leaning under as well. What do you think about that? Do you think there's going to be a lot of scoring here?
I don't think there's going to be a lot of scoring. And I initially was going to – I am going to take the Avs, and I initially was going to add the under, and I've been humming and hawing whether I should do that. I think the big difference with this Avalanche team, although I did mention I like the Colin Wilson pickup, but is Semyon Varlamov is healthy, confident. He's changing the vibe in the dressing room. He had double hip surgery in January, and he looks very good out there, and that's a huge difference maker for the Avs.
That seems weird. How do you have surgery on both of your hips and then come out and be okay? I mean, I guess they have like super advanced surgeries now where they can just make you a bionic man, but that seems pretty like double hip surgery, and now you're going to be a goalie in the NHL, but I guess it's worked.
It's worked, and but you're right. I don't know how you could come off so strong after that double hip surgery, but he looks great, and I am going to make the Avs an official pick. And I think, now I know I said they went 3-1 to start off the year last year, but if we're going to keep getting this value.
Right, exactly. There you go, Jim. It's all about the line. Absolutely. Now you like Colorado here, but what if Colorado was minus 220? Would you take them in this spot or?
Absolutely not.
All right. Okay.
Absolutely
Good. So you're thinking the right way, Jim. All right. Well, they did open at about plus 116. It's gotten bet down a little bit. The best line we can give is plus 109 right now at a whole bunch of places. Is that okay for you, Colorado plus 109?
I will take it, and I'm locking it in.
All right. Okay. Now let's talk about Calgary and LA. Calgary, of course, coming off the big win that you called. You nailed that one, Jim. And then late in the Donnie right side show, I realized you were on the right side of that one, and I said that I liked it as well. I did bet it, and we got a cash on that one. And now LA on the other side. Jonathan Quick had a down year last year. Is he due for a big bounce back season? Obviously, the Kings have played well so far this year. What do you think? You think that it's a letdown spot here for Calgary, and maybe LA as a small favorite has value? What do you think?
Obviously the coaching change has helped, getting Daryl Sutter out of there and getting a fresh voice in John Stevens, and he's implemented a new offensive game plan there. And the big problem with the Kings last year was Quick being out. I mean, he only played 17 games last year, and he's allowed 1 goal in 2 games. Now, I admit, I said that I believe he is in decline. He's definitely proven me wrong over 2 games, and I don't mind being wrong. I've also been sort of wrong, and I didn't put this out, but I was unsure if Mike Smith was going to be able to handle the duties. And for some reason, I thought Mike Smith was 38 years old, and I went to check today. He's 35. He's not as old as I imagined.
He's still in decline. I mean, you know what happens in your 30s? Your brain starts to shrink. Your testosterone starts to go down. I mean, he's in decline.
I think so, but he looked great in that matchup with the Ducks, and he has always played well against the Kings. He's 15-8-1 with a 2.23 goals against average and a .931 save percentage. Now, I don't know where to go sides-wise on this, but I do think it will be a low-scoring game.
You do, huh?
I do, and I'm happy to get the 5.5. I actually had some worry that it might be a 5. So I'm happy to take the 5.5. I'm going to take the under as an official pick. I think the Kings might give us a lot of value on unders all year long. They're a big, tough, slow hockey team.
Right. See, I was thinking that maybe, I was just thinking out loud. I was thinking maybe LA on the side, but then I was thinking, well, maybe just take LA on the team total over 2.5 to put some goals. That Mike Smith obviously looked better than he really is in his last game. That maybe he's due for a letdown here. But you don't see LA as a kind of powerful offensive team. That
I don't. I think they're a plodding, tough team to play against. But I think that Mike Smith could have a really nice month. These old goalies can come out really strong for a month and then slowly deteriorate over time. I think the under is the play here, and I'm going to make it an official pick.
All right. Well, it is. It hasn't moved much. The under 5.5 is juiced. The best line we can give would be at Pinnacle minus 133. Under 5.5 minus 133. How's that?
I don't like the minus 133. I don't like it, but I do think that this game is going to be a tough match. These are 2 teams that might meet in the playoffs. These are 2 teams that are going to go head-to-head many times this year, and I think it will be very tough games, and I hate the juice, but I'm going to take it anyway.
Okay, under 5.5, minus 133. Sometimes, and this can be a little bit, sometimes when you get cute with betting, you actually look slick, or you can get burned. Sometimes when there's games where I'm liking the under, but I don't like the big juice, I sometimes look at the first period under instead at like 1.5, like minus 115, because just something that I think that like if there's situations, because the worst thing in the world is when you bet an under, you've got it's going low scoring, then late there's a couple goals, it winds up 3-2, and then a friggin' empty net goal at the end pushes it over, and the first period was 0-0, and you're like, why didn't I just bet the first period under? You know what I mean?
I know what you mean. I played hockey all growing up, and it's a really—
You did, huh?
Yeah, it's a really close sport to my heart, and it's so aggravating betting on it. It just makes me want to fucking lose my mind. The empty net goals sometimes help you, sometimes hurt. The overtimes, the shootouts, it just drives me fucking crazy. And so I'm concerned about my own mental health this year, hammering these games. So I hear exactly what you're saying. And I also don't think I'm not convinced that my gambling strategy is I think it needs tweaking in hockey, and I'm not sold on exactly how I'm handling things. I'm trying to simplify things early,
Right.
and sitting beside Pistol Pete, I
Yeah.
hope I can make tweaks and changes as the season goes
Look,
on.
I mean, and that's the thing when you look at like baseball pitchers, even like, the best pitcher in baseball will sometimes be like, oh, I went back to Clayton Kershaw's like, well, I went back to the bullpen and made some tweaks to my delivery. You're like, you're Clayton Kershaw. If you have to make tweaks, the answer is yes. Even no matter what level you get to, you always need to stay on top of your technique and make tweaks and refine it. All right, but you're going to take the under here at under 5.5 minus 133.
Yes.
Okay, and then let's talk about the Islanders and Anaheim. Great call once again on Anaheim losing to Calgary. Of course, they have a lot of injuries, right? A lot of serious injuries. So that was not just a play, I assume, as for me, not just on Calgary, but also against Anaheim. They're still banged up. Now the Islanders come in across country. Feels to me like I would be, leaning Islanders. The bigger dog, that's the line that you can get, the more I'd be leaning that way. Feels like I'd be looking to fade Anaheim once again as a small home favorite. What do you think?
Getzlaf came back and got a game under his belt, and he doesn't show up in the score sheet as much as he used to, but he is a big, tough centerman to play against and does a lot of things that aren't represented on the score sheet. I think him coming back is a huge, huge difference maker. Islanders traveling across the country early in the season is not easy.
Right, sure.
So the Ducks got 43 shots in that game against the Flames, and I guess the issue Getzlaf was talking about post-game was that they were getting no second and third chance opportunities. Getzlaf said in an interview that they didn't even get a rebound until the third period. Getzlaf is a vocal guy in the dressing room. He's going to look them all in the face and say, if we do not get second and third opportunities, we are going to lose games, and we can't start when we have this luxury of having these home games early in the year. Because of that, and because I know how heart and soul Getzlaf is and how vocal he is in the dressing room, I am taking the Ducks here. I think that we're going to get value. Now that Getzlaf's back, everybody's talking about the injuries with the Ducks. So I think we will find home value on the Ducks moving forward.
Wow.
Now, I could be incorrect, but I'm going to take the Ducks, and I'm also going to take the under. I'm going to take both of these. I'm going to single bet them and make them official picks.
Jim, you're bearing down. I love it. You're bearing down. You're focused. You're like, all right, you're like, I don't know if I'm going to win, but I'm going to do my best when it comes to my hockey research. I love it, Jim. I was also leaning under on this one as well. So you're going to take Anaheim. The money line minus 123 is the best line we can give you.
I think that is so much value. Yes. So much value for the Islanders going across the country.
Yes.
We know the Ducks are good. They made the conference final last year. Minus 123.
And you're not concerned about the injuries. You see, this is a bounce back spot
because of Getzlaf.
Right.
He was my biggest concern. Now, obviously, Kessler being out till December is a big loss, but Getzlaf in the lineup it's a huge deal.
Yes, I was leaning under as well. So you want the under also as an official pick?
Yes.
All right, that will be 5.5. Under is best line looking around here minus 115 at Pinnacle. And I was thinking about the first period under on this one, like I was talking about before. The first period under would be 1.5 minus 109. Those first period totals can be very tricky. A lot of times you'll see like a second goal late. I had the first period over in the Dallas game last night, and that was looking like a loser until the last 30 seconds. I would agree with you in general, though. All right, and then let's quickly get to Pittsburgh and Washington. Washington obviously doing well with their penalty kills. Ovechkin last game had a comeback down to earth, which we knew was going to happen. But I would assume that we should expect him to be at least low level excellent for the entire season until further notice, or not.
I do too. He's such a physical forward, and he says the Russian wolf. The Russian machine never breaks, all that stuff. But I mean, we saw it finally hit him in the playoffs last year. But clearly, early in the season, he's feeling fresh, he's looking good, and he's playing very well. And this is a heated rivalry.
Yes. So I would be slightly in Washington, slightly in over. Not sure I'm going to bet either of those, but you have anything to say about that one?
I'm still concerned with the Penguins' offense.
Yeah.
And but now, so this is my thought for tonight's game, is that the Capitals are going to be so riled up because of being knocked out of the playoffs by the Pens, and the Pens aren't really going to feel that same thing.
Right.
So Ian Cole got hit in the face with a puck, lost a bunch of teeth. He will not be in the lineup. They're getting Patrick Hornqvist back. Now, an interesting stat about Matt Murray that I didn't know. So he missed the playoff battle with the Caps last year. But I was going over his numbers are not very good against the Capitals. He's a 4.43 goals against average, and then Holtby's numbers versus the Pens are great. Really good. 7-7-2 with a 2.77 goals against average. I think this is a spot where the Capitals will beat the Penguins. I feel like when the games aren't as important early in the year, the Capitals seem to have the Penguins' number. And as soon as the games become very, very important, the Penguins step up and put their foot on the Capitals' throat.
That's what I was thinking about as well. But my only concern is that obviously off the huge blowout loss, Pittsburgh bounced back the next game. And I'm wondering how many – I mean, when you get blown out like Pittsburgh got blown out, it's not necessarily a one-game mental bounce-back spot. It can carry on for like a week or so. Do you think that there's anything to that Pittsburgh is just like so embarrassed by the huge blowout loss that they're going to come out focused for a bunch of games in a row?
That is a good question. I mean, I should have hammered them on the game back after the 10-1, and that was a capping mistake. But I think this is an old veteran team. I don't think they get too caught up in any one game. Back-to-back Stanley Cup champs. I do think this is a great spot for the Washington Capitals, and I'm going to make the Capitals an official pick.
All right. I was going to do that too, and also thinking about the Caps team total over. All right, so you want the Caps on the money line, huh?
Yes.
Okay, best line would be -126 at Pinnacle Bet Online. Couple places, no place has worse than -130. So the Caps -126, and I was definitely leaning the team total over here, and I will give that one. It's a little bit hefty juice there, but it's just 2.5 -155 at Pinnacle, so I'll give that one. Caps team total over 2.5 -155. That strikes you as probably a reasonable play, right, Jim?
I think it's a reasonable play. My concern is not the Capitals' offense. My concern is the Penguins' offense, and then my other concern is just that it's such a heated rivalry between these two teams that there might not be a lot of open ice. But I think you're getting a nice number, and with the Capitals' offense going on all cylinders, I understand why you'd make that play.
Yes. I was also leaning Caps as well, thinking about taking them on the -1 line too. I might go on that with you. I just you have to be careful about doubling up. Sometimes you can add 2 units on with a play. Sometimes you have to be careful. We can do that, Jim, if you want to. Doubling up, basically taking 2 plays that are correlated. That's a way of like spreading it out, but also doubling or tripling up on a bet that you really like. I did that in baseball sometimes. Sometimes got burned, and sometimes had a nice little payoff reward for it. All right, so let's sum up. I might add some other hockey plays before the end of this show. Toronto, New Jersey. I'm on the over on that one officially. Leaning New Jersey at the current odds. Got to be honest, leaning New Jersey. It's a pass for Jim, but I'm officially on the over at 6. Pittsburgh, Washington. Jim's on Washington, the money line. I'm on Washington, the team total over 2.5 -155. Boston, Colorado. Jim likes Colorado as a small home dog. As of right now, that's a pass for me, but Jim is on Colorado officially as a small home dog. Anaheim and the Islanders. Jim likes Anaheim. Actually, sounds to me, based on your analysis, that's your favorite play of the card. Anaheim as a small home favorite there.
After breaking it down and talking about it more, I really like that spot for the Ducks. I also really like the Capital spot, but you're right. I feel like it's tough to go all the way across the country. And the Ducks have Getzlaf back, and they've been called out in the dressing room.
So Jim has 2 official plays on that one: the Anaheim money line and the under 5.5. And I would definitely be leaning under as well. And the first period under, and then the Calgary LA game. Jim did take a shot with the under, despite the kind of hefty juice line there. 5.5 -135.
And Jason Foster mentioned on the forum that this is a bad long-term move, -133. And you're right. If I am taking over-unders at -133 long-term, I'm going to definitely lose in the long run. I just think that this is going to be a very, very tough game, and I'm concerned, but I'm going to take it.
Okay, there you go. So I've got 2 official picks, and Jim has, I don't know how many, like 5 or 6, right? How many you got?
I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. I have 5 official picks.
Very nice. I've got 2. I might add something on a little bit at the end of this show, some of my leans, but nice, Jim.